In this lesson, we're going to talk about a brand new type of loop that you can use when dealing with arrays or other lists when we start talking about classes and enumerations. And this is called the foreach loop. In prior lessons on arrays, we built some for loops in order to display and access the data in an array. So here we defined an array, a string array, days of week, and in it we have each day of the week, Sunday through Saturday. This time we are not including our 8th day, which is fun day. But let's say we wanted to display this to the screen. You could write a while loop. We've been using for, so let's start with a for loop. For int counter equals 0, counter is less than 7, counter plus plus, and let's write the data to the screen for the current item in the array. Days of week counter. So again, what we've done is we're iterating through each element in the array from index 0 to index 6 and then displaying that data, that value that correlates to that index, and writing it to the screen. So we'll go ahead and run this. And we can see, just as we wrote in our code, we're displaying Sunday through Saturday. Sunday representing the 0th element in the array, and Saturday representing the 6th element in the array. Sometimes, though, you don't really care about what index an item is at. We had talked about, when I gave you some instructions on string manipulation and string interpolation for arrays, we wrote the index and the day of the week to the screen. So here we know the index in the for loop because it's represented by counter. So we could write something like counter and then a space, and this won't be pretty printed like it was in the lesson on string formatting and string interpolation. But we could write this to the screen and run it and see the value correlating to each day of the week. But again, why does that matter? Maybe we just want to list out the days of the week. We don't really care about the index. If you don't care about the index in the array and you just want to get each item in the array, then you can use something called a foreach loop. A foreach loop will iterate through only the elements in the array and won't provide you any feedback on the index of that specific element. So, what we can do is construct a foreach loop to do the same thing, display the days of the week, and not display any index. And we construct that by first typing in the keyword foreach. It's one word, foreach. We open that up with a parenthesis, and we define a variable that will hold the element for each item in the array. So since we have an array of strings, you're going to want to declare a string variable. String day. And then use the keyword in. And then you type the name of the array or the IEnumerable object, which we'll get to in future weeks, that you want to loop through. And in this case, it's days of week. So what we've done here is, think about it in English. For each day in days of week, do something. It's meant to act like it sounds. We're going to get a value for each day of the week, and the compiler is going to hand us back a variable representing each value at each index. So we're going to, the first time this runs, it's going to hand us back Sunday into the variable day. The second time this runs, it's going to add Monday and place that in the variable day, and we'll be able to use it. Finally, the 7th time it runs, it will hand us Saturday, place it into the value of day, and we can use it in the for each block. So like a for loop or a while loop or a do while loop, we declared a block here, and inside of this block we can use the variable day. So here, if we want to display day to the screen, console.writeLine day, and if we run this, we see we've received each day of the week, and we can write this to the screen. Again, this is only when you feel as though the index or usage of the index is irrelevant, and all you really need is the values coming out of the array. Let's talk about temperatures. So let's rewrite this completely. So let's say we have a number of temperatures, and we know that it's going to be 7, and we're going to take an average of them. We don't really care if it's 59 at index 0 and 17 at index 5. All we care about is we know there's 7 of them, and we want to add them together and divide by 7. That's it. We don't care about the placement in the array. So let's create a new array of integers. So int, open and close bracket, temps for week equals, and let's just put 7 temperatures in here. Let's say 34, 45, 75, 90, 12, 10, and 60. It's typical Cleveland weather, experiencing all 4 seasons in a week. But here are 7 temperatures in an integer array, and we've explicitly defined each of those temperatures. So let's say that we want to get the average of those temperatures. So here we'll do a double not do a double first. We'll do an int total. All right. So now we're going to add all these together. So for each int temp in temps for week total plus equals temp, and then here we'll do a double output equals double total divided by 7, and console.writeLine output. So what did we do here? We defined an array of integers representing each temperature during the week. We defined a variable that will carry our total. And then for each temperature in the temperatures for the week, we're adding that temperature to the total. We then divide that total by 7 and prep it as a double for output so we can see some decimal points. And now we're outputting this to the console. But again, key here is we didn't really care that 34 was on Sunday, maybe 34 was on Friday. We don't know. We just cared about temperatures over a 7-day period, meaning we don't care about the index, we don't care about the location, but what we care about are the values. So we add those together. We know there's 7 values. We divide by 7 and show the output. So if we run this, we see that we get the double output average of 46.57. And again, all of this we used a for each loop for because we didn't really care about the placement in the array, but we cared about the data in the array.